Welcome to Extended Disc and today's webinar. We want to provide some background for those of you who may not have met us yet. Extended Disc is an international assessment company with operations in almost 50 countries and 250 team members. Extended Disc offers internationally validated assessments that can be tailored to clients' unique needs and preferences. If you'd like to learn more, contact us on our website or follow us along any of our social media outlets. As a reminder, this webinar will be recorded and all registrants will receive a link to the recording, and it will also be posted on our YouTube channel. Use the Q&A section to ask us any questions you may have. If we are unable to answer them during our live session, we'll reach out to all registrants with the response. Thanks for joining us, and now here's the host of today's webinar.
What a wonderful introduction from our other colleague, Amy. Welcome, everybody. Today we are on a 15-minute webinar, and I love the title. It's called, Am I Rude? Am I Stubborn? Why do people misinterpret my intentions? My name is Christina Bowser, and I am the training director here at Extended Disc. And joining me today is Wilma Stevens, senior trainer at Extended Disc. Hey, Wilma.
Hi, everybody. I love the title too. Am I rude? Am I stubborn? Why do people misinterpret my intentions? When I read that, I thought, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not going into an intervention. Now, am I rude? Who's asking? Am I stubborn? Possibly. You know, are my intentions misinterpreted? Kind of. Maybe, sometimes, but that's how that goes, right? You know, Christine and I were talking about this a little bit early. And one of the things that we were talking about is that behavior doesn't equal intention. That is a really big statement to unpack, right? Our intentions are always good, right? We come into things with really good intentions, but our behaviors don't always match up, right? So you cannot wash bad behavior with good intentions. And I think that's a really interesting concept to get your mind around. What do you think?
Yeah, I think in the interest of today, you know, when I first told Wilma about the title, she's like, yes, you know,
yeah, yes to both.
Am I stubborn? Yes. And the point of today is not to put you in a corner and, you know, judge you in any way. The purpose of today is not just to recognize, not only do we perceive the world differently, but people perceive ourselves differently. And what Wilma was saying, that, you know, intentions don't equate to behaviors. And one of the things that we like to say in our trainings is that actions and behaviors themselves are essentially neutral. It's our own perception of that action, of that behavior, that give it value. Whether we construe something as negative or neutral or positive, that's based on our own biases. It's based on our own experience, what we observe. And so that's kind of what we're talking about, and where DISC can help us do that. We were talking about this picture yesterday too, because it was cracking us up. There's so many like stories we could incorporate into this one image. The one that stood out to me is, I called it the green tie gentleman in the back. You know, he looks like he's totally in on this group. He's in on the conversation. He's paying attention, but obviously he's physically removed from this group. So again, when we think about perception, the perception is like, hey, I'm part of the gang. I'm right here mingling with everybody. And I think the rest of the group has forgotten about him, whether he feels he belongs in this group or not.
Well, I think too, like sometimes really it's self-awareness, right? Mm-hmm. And we talk a lot about self-awareness as that gateway to emotional intelligence. I like the fact that this gentleman with the green shirt beside the female with the yellow, he's kind of turned 45 degrees towards that, very engaged in that conversation, but does that mean the people beside him feel that they have been isolated or left out? I don't know, but we go through our day and sometimes we're just autopiloting through our day and we don't sometimes recognize, how did I show up? What did that look like? Like, do I need to unpack that? I mean, this gentleman, he may be totally focused on learning something and not in not including people, but that's the whole thing. Our intention and our behavior, could be different.
Yeah, and going back to the whole question of, am I rude, am I stubborn? You may not even believe that you are. You may be like, I am not rude and I don't really think I'm stubborn. And I love one of the terms that Wilma used. It's called inviting the shift. You want to talk about that?
Well, when you're doing your disc assessment and you're working with your people, when someone says like, I'm not stubborn, that's an opportunity to invite the shift, right? When you're coaching them, and really ask some questions, get curious about inviting the shift in the conversation and in the coaching. So when we were talking about this, I was talking about my sister, who is, in my opinion, super stubborn. She does not respond well to that. When I changed that up and I reminded her how tenacious she was all about that game. And when you're going through a report and somebody is pushing back, saying, my behavior is not like that, we kind of have to wait and let them get there. Maybe they're stubborn. Maybe their self-awareness isn't at that point that they're recognizing it. I know we talked a lot more about inviting the shift. When we talked about it, there was something that cued me into that conversation, and I'm not exactly remembering that. What else did we talk about?
I think when people are going through their own results, we all have different reactions to it. Some of us who are more reserved style, we need more time to actually process the information, right?
Yes.
The other thing is, for us emotional styles, we do tend to have emotional reactions like, no way, that can't be me, So the part of helping our clients, helping our participants understand their results is that it is reflective. The purpose is to get you to think about your results. It's not for you just to say, oh, I'm a nice person and accept it and move on, because there's no action going forward. And the point of it is, how do we apply this awareness that we're hopefully gaining from reading about ourselves into being more productive, being more successful? So when we put these types of statements and these words into your report, they're really in a way designed to elicit a response from you, for you to understand that this is how you may show up to other people. You may not think that you're stubborn, but as Wilma said, when you invite that shift and use a different terminology, maybe for that same action, oh, you are tenacious, and the person responds positively to that. But when you say you are stubborn, they may have a negative connotation of that word stubborn. So that's what we're saying. Allow for that processing. And most importantly, ask the person to think about it, to reflect, to say, am I showing up that way to other people? Could I be coming across that way? Because these gaps between where we see ourselves and where others may be seeing us, we call these your blind spots. And honestly, these give you the greatest opportunity for your own development. That's kind of where we were talking about, I think.
Yeah, and I want to remind us too, like, language in the report can be harsh. We don't want to pigeonhole anybody. We are all of these things, right? In different things, in different moments. So with that being said, I'm sure we all would like to give a blanket apology, to anybody that we've ever offended or, been rude to or been stubborn with, or, our intentions didn't equal our behavior. When we are using our DISC report though, I think that it's important that we understand our DISC styles, right? But remind your people you're working with, you are all of the DISC styles. You have an area that you operate that you're comfortable with. but we're not going to pigeonhole you. You're not broken. You are successful. And that's important. That's important language. What else do you
Yeah.
want to?
I just at first Wilma and I are like, do we put this picture in? I don't
Oh yeah,
know, you know. But I was just laughing because what drew me to this picture is, number one, it helps us kind of to bring it all together. You know, how does this help in our self-awareness and our perception of others as well as their perceptions of our behaviors, right? So when I think about these pictures, I think of different styles, right? So, you know, you've got the styles that find their, you know, at a party, there's those, the styles that are like, let's network, let's get things done, I'm going to find people, probably D styles. Your I styles are trying to meet as many people as possible and, you know, be center of attention. Your S style zooms in on that one person they know, sticks to them for the rest of the session. And in that dark corner or in against the wall off to the side, you might find your C styles who are like, okay, I've showed up at the party. How do I get out of here? What's the quickest time for me to get out of here, right? But it's all about interactions and perceptions, right? And again, we talk about the 4 steps to effective communication all the time. And Wilma just spoke about understanding our differences. That's step 1, understanding that we all have differences, not good or bad. We just bring something different to the table. The self-awareness piece is that part of where we're interpreting the results of our report and asking ourselves, am I showing up this way?
But not only interpreting our reports, I think this party, which I'm sure we were invited to, even when we're looking at that, not even interpreting your reports, interpreting your behavior, because you prove your style right by your behavior. So when you're at this lovely, very hip party, think, are you in the corner? Are you talking to everyone? You know, and are you adjusting to really communicate in a fashion that the other person can respond? Right? That's the other nice thing about the whole piece. The action piece of our 4 steps is always about, what are you going to do with it? You know, do you have the energy to adjust? Do you want to adjust? Is this a good opportunity to adjust? And then make your decision consciously.
Yeah, and it really does help us. You know, we talk about, I love, again, Wilma terminology. So she calls it the adjustment initiative. A lot of us might know it as, you know, the customer service rule. Basically, the more you understand not only about yourself, but about the other person that you're interacting with, the better adjustments you can make, because you understand how they how they tend to see the world, what tends to motivate them. And by making these adjustments, you're more likely to get out of that interaction what you wanted to. And for you tasks, so, you know, fast-paced styles, we remove some of that frustration. You get to the end point much faster.
I love that you said get out of it. I thought you were actually trying to exit out of it faster, Christina. I think the adjustment piece as well is, you know, when we talk about that adjustment initiative, the action step of our process, it also really talks to your observation skills, right? How does this person want to respond, or what are they doing? And if you really want to make that connection, that's what we need to do, is be curious, get curious and observe. And I can't believe we're not invited to that party, because we're not there.
We are. We're making the grand entrance. But I think most importantly, you know, the question again for the webinar is, am I stubborn? What was the other one? Am I rude?
Yes. Yeah, and the answer, of course, who's asking? And then, of course, we are at times all of the styles, right? So it's okay. Perfect is the enemy of good. We don't expect you to be perfect. But what we really want to encourage you, and encourage you to encourage the people you work with, is adjust, recognize the opportunity, right? Observe what's happening, recognize the opportunity, and then make the decision. Do I want to do something about it? Is it worth it? Do I want to make a change? Am I getting what I really want out of this interaction? The majority of time, I will remind us, we operate in our comfort zone, right? These interactions and adjustments, they're brief. I think of it like, in a game of sports, you go out, you come back, you repeat these brief adjustments. And that really is, the strategic response to our 4 steps is take action.
Take
right?
action and ask yourself, am I really showing up this way? And why might I be showing up this way? And as Wilma said, do I need to make any adjustments?
Yeah. And is this really how I want to be?
Yeah. Thank you guys all for joining us. We actually have a trainer's webinar, a facilitator webinar next week. Wilma and I will be doing a 30-minute webinar on will your participants use DISC, ways to ensure DISC application post-session. So
I love this.
Yeah, you've done the coaching session, you've done the DISC workshop. What do you do next? That's one of the most common questions we get from our trainers and facilitators. So we're going to talk a little bit about that next week. So hopefully you guys can join us. Again, it's at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, but it will be a 30-minute webinar.
And how to keep it live, like how to keep your message live and keep it going. And once again, Christine and I are giving a blanket apology for if we've ever been rude to anybody, or, if we've ever been stubborn. We're apologizing. We're owning it.
All right. Have a great day.
But I'm owning mine. Everyone,
bye.
Bye now.